Good evening. The hour being after 6:45, it's my honor to call the January 9th, 2025 School Committee meeting to order. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Our first order of business is the Walpole High School Student Report. This evening we have our Representative Grace Qualter to report on student news. This is her first time being here with us solo, so take it away.
Hi, good evening. My name is Grace Qualter, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here tonight. I'm a sophomore at Walpole High and a second-year member of Walpole's Student Council. As we wrap up our winter break, the weather is still getting colder, and our winter sports at Walpole High have really kicked off. In particular, boys hockey is off to a strong and exciting start. Gymnastics had their second meet, while boys and girls basketball both had exciting wins against Weymouth for ALS night. Boys winning 67-55 and girls winning 57-29. Some other exciting news: the Walpole High Speech and Debate team placed 6 out of 31 total schools at Natick's Holly Festival. Congrats. All week long at Walpole High sports events, make sure to wear your red to raise awareness for ALS. Walpole High is now undergoing some construction as well, which is a change for all but will benefit various areas of the school. Already, our parking lot has seen a lot of change, and the construction company is beginning initial steps on our field house. By the end of the construction, our school will see advancements and upgrades to our music, STEM, science, special education, and counseling departments. Student Council will also be holding a charity raffle for 2 free prom tickets, a $50 gift card for prom flowers, a $50 gift card, Chick-fil-A gift card, through January 1st through the 24th. All profits will be donated to Belle of the Ball, which cleans and distributes prom dresses to high school students who would otherwise not have the opportunity to attend their school's prom. Student Council will also be attending the Massachusetts Association of Student Council's annual Special Olympics bocce tournament on the 25th at Middleborough High School. For any students interested, there are now applications open for the Walpole Scholarship Foundation. Another great opportunity is the Intervention Career Pathway. IBM and the Work-Based Learning Alliance are offering students opportunities for paid 100-hour virtual internships in cybersecurity, clean energy, and CAD. Applications are now open for winter and spring cycle. Academically, many students are trying to get back into the swing of things since break, but we're all getting back to work to wrap up this first semester on January 22nd. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you very much, Representative Qualter. Questions or comments? Ms. Denizio.
Nobody would have guessed that was your first report.
Thank you.
Like professional.
That was great.
Very good. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to continue to move on through our agenda. Please feel free to.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care. Moving on to new business, we have our English Language Arts update. We have Lauren Cullen, Jody O'Rourke, and Shannon Finley. I don't know who's going first.
Go in academic order, I guess. Nice to see everybody. I'm Shannon Finley. I'm the K-5 ELA Curriculum Coordinator, in case you don't know me. The agenda will look like this. I'll give a brief overview of our new literacy program, Into Reading. I will share how implementation has gone thus far this fall, and then I'll talk about next steps for looking ahead to the winter and spring. So just to recap for anybody that isn't aware, this past spring we did a curriculum review, and our committee ultimately chose to adopt Into Reading as our literacy program for K-5. Related to reading, known as the science of reading. This visual is called the reading rope, and it shows the different components that are essential for skilled reading and obviously essential for us to therefore teach. And for the word recognition strand, we are staying true to what we have used in the past in terms of our explicit systematic phonics program, Foundations. And now to really target that language comprehension strand, we have implemented and adopted Into Reading. Interreading has a learning model that allows for direct instruction and guided practice, as well as differentiated instruction where we can meet the needs of different students regardless of ability. That could look like a review of a lesson or an enrichment of a lesson. Each lesson also ends with a reflection of the learning and goal setting for the next lesson. The two main components of interreading include both knowledge building and strategy instruction. Research shows that both knowledge and reading strategies are essential for proficient reading, and interreading, again, includes both of those components. This is an example of one way that knowledge is built through knowledge maps. This is introduced at the start of a module or a unit and then added to throughout the module and then revisited at the end. This is a second grade example on a module that focused around weather. And then this is an example of a text set that is used to build that knowledge around that content. And so these are examples of videos and informational texts, as well as fiction text, to help support building knowledge around the content, as well as answering the question, how does weather affect us? So on the left, you'll see what's called the My Book. That is the student book that houses all the shared reading material, but teachers are also sharing and students are engaging with a variety of texts across the week. Additional read-alouds are being shared by teachers, as well as, depending on students' learning goals, they may be reading introductory books such as decodables or early readers, as well as novels in the upper grades. Reading usually gets the spotlight, but writing, we know, is just as important, and that was another reason why we decided to adopt interreading. Interreading teaches students and supports teachers in thinking about the writing process in a variety of ways. One of those ways being text-based responses, which was something we were really looking for in a program. And so again, this is an example that connects back to that unit on weather, in which students would answer this question using evidence and details from the text. And students are also engaging in longer writing processes, including narrative stories, informational essays, books, opinion essays, letters, poems, throughout the literacy block. Interreading offers a variety of assessments, again, something that appealed to us, both digitally and print-based assessments. So there are selection quizzes, weekly assessments, module assessments. Being year one, we're still trying to figure out what these assessments look like, what information are they giving us, how we read the variety of assessment reports that are given. And so we decided to keep our other assessment landscape status quo. So that means that for K through 3, our early literacy screening tools are still iReady and DIBBLES. And we are using iReady, continue to use iReady in grades 4 and 5 as our diagnostic assessment. And then, as I mentioned, Foundations is our phonics program, so we still utilize those unit assessments throughout the year. Shifting a little bit to implementation, we've been definitely busy this fall. We have partnered with HMH, who is the provider of interreading, to provide in-person professional learning opportunities. And so what that looks like, what that's looked like so far, we've had 2 of those days so far. The mornings have been spent in classrooms, so the HMH consultant is demoing lessons for a team of teachers and debriefing those lessons. And then the afternoon is spent district-wide, sort of unpacking what the morning looked like for the rest of the teachers, and then facilitating conversations around some of the things that the teachers have been looking for more support with. We also have an implementation team, so this was something that was offered last spring, and then teachers could decide whether they wanted to be part of the implementation team. One of the benefits of being part of the implementation team is those teachers, so that's a grade level representative from each of our elementary schools. They also have access to one-on-one support through this program called Coachly, which is great. And then they're the team leader that then is asking questions and helping answer questions for their team within their individual schools. In addition to HMH, I also continue to provide professional development for our teachers in a variety of ways. For example, in December, for grade level team meetings, teachers had a choice board. December's a tough month to stay motivated, especially around professional learning. So teachers could opt for support in terms of planning. And so about 50% of teachers wanted to plan and look at a unit together and really unpack that unit to be prepared for coming back in January. And about 50% of the teachers wanted a demo lesson. They wanted to see something in action. And again, I am 100% still learning this curriculum as well. But getting into a classroom with teachers and trying some different things that they were interested in trying. That lesson was around getting kids to write more elaborative introductions for their informational pieces. And then we were fortunate this year to have that November 5th PD day, so we definitely took advantage of that, and that was focused on writing. And so the morning was spent sort of unpacking the research around best writing instruction and practice, and then really thinking about how that applies to the curriculum materials that we had. So getting really into the weeds a little bit around the writing part of the curriculum, which we hadn't done as much up till November. And then when teachers want to collaborate even closer, we engage in what's called a coaching cycle, which I'm sure you've heard of before. So this is really based on what the teacher is looking to have support on and really focused on students. So what is it that you're hoping to see with your students that maybe you're not seeing right now? So this typically a coaching cycle lasts 3 to 4 weeks, and it looks a variety of different ways. But here were some of the focuses this past fall with teachers. Differentiated spelling, sentence writing is something that we continue to work on kindergarten through 5th grade, really to get kids to write more elaborative and detailed sentences, character analysis, response to text, and then really trying how do we integrate grammar. We know grammar in isolation isn't necessarily how we get kids to become better writers, so how can we integrate it in our instruction so that it sticks and it makes a difference. And also book clubs was a big ask in terms of teachers that wanted additional support and coaching. Book clubs was a big part of our curriculum previously, so teachers know that that's such an important part for kids and for instruction. Getting longer books and novels, especially like I mentioned in the upper grades. So that has been a big part of my work with teachers. As I always say, like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. What were we doing that was really good, and bringing that forward and finding the time and the space for that. So these are a couple of different classrooms and work that we are engaging with book clubs. And then shifting really to what's next. Like I said, writing is so important. We know that our students need us to teach them writing better than maybe we're doing right now. So one of the things that we've never done that we've already done this year to hopefully drive our next steps is a K-5 informational writing assessment. So we have previously we didn't have any data really collected about our current reality in terms of writing. And so a first step is to know what is our current reality in terms of this type of writing, which is, it's informational writing, but this writing was also based off something that was read. So we would say that was also a text-based response. And so for every kindergartner through 5th grade, we now have how they responded to that text. And then on December 13th, which was a PD day that followed up to teachers giving this assessment, teacher teams were able to sit together and really analyze the writing and start to think about, okay, in this genre of writing, what are some of our students' strengths and where are some of the challenges? And then what do I need as a teacher in terms of support to help my students be better writers, which will then obviously drive any professional development decisions we make moving forward. I know that's small, but you have that in front of you as well. And then just more holistic feedback, again, so important to, as we're implementing this new program, like how are teachers feeling, what do teachers need? And so this is some just general feedback, either about the writing PD or in general about how interreading implementation is going. 2 different ways that we've been collecting feedback, obviously Google Forms after professional development, and then the 2 on the right, the implementation team met across the district and talked about strengths together. And then on that November 5th day, all of our grade level teams got together and the implementation team kind of led a discussion around that, and they added to the strengths there. And then we also know no program is perfect, right? So what are some of the things that we're seeing in terms of our instruction? What do we need as teachers? And so again, same type of feedback based on Google Forms that were shared, and also those collaborative conversations, as I mentioned, on November 5th. This is just a sampling of that, but reflects really the K through 5 feedback that we've been hearing. And then what's next? Student feedback. We're trying to figure out the best way. We've got a lot of teacher feedback, but what are our students thinking about implementation and how it's going? So working with possibly Tom Reeves in order to send out a survey, however that might be appropriate. So that's something I'm definitely looking to collect this winter and this spring. Our winter assessment window just opened, so that's this week up until the 17th when our term closes. And so that'll be great data to have in terms of implementation, because the fall data obviously didn't reflect the implementation of the new curriculum. Continuing coaching cycles and facilitating grade level team meetings. I'm most effective, I think, when I'm in classrooms, so just doing that as much as possible. And I'm also starting a podcast club as something new. As I've shared before, to me, the most important thing is teacher knowledge. Programs come and go, but if our teachers have the knowledge, we're gonna best serve our kids. And so I've started, I haven't had my first meeting yet, I'll let you know how it goes, but where teachers are listening to a podcast on their own time, and then we're gonna come together virtually and talk about the podcast. The focus is comprehension. We've spent a lot of time discussing foundational skills, and comprehension's kind of been off to the side, and so really thinking about how do we get kids to comprehend and comprehend well. More professional development from HMH coming up, one next Friday on the 17th, and then another day following up in March. The implementation team will meet again in February, and then again in the spring. I have already and will continue to collaborate with Naomi Austin. I'm so grateful that she's here, and we are already talking about some partnerships that her and I can have together to think about implementation and just working together in general. And then obviously continuing to collaborate with Jody and Lauren and Julie Martin at the preschool, which her and I always have various collaborations, and obviously district leadership and the principals. And then prior to adoption, I created a lot of relationships with other districts that have implemented interreading. And so I continue and will continue to learn from them who are a little bit deeper in us, and also some surrounding districts that they're also in their first year. So we've been leaning on each other a little bit as well. And also I've had districts reach out to us and wanting to learn from us in terms of our curriculum review and why we chose interreading and how's it going. So that's kind of exciting too. And then starting to look ahead, this is the time where I need to look ahead to the summer. I have some summer R&D ideas already, continuing to get feedback from teachers and projects that they would want to work on. And then obviously thinking about our professional development needs for next year. That's it. No, that was a lot. I know I talked fast. Take a minute. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Director Finley. A lot of information there. Thank you very much.
Take
Good
it
stuff.
in. Thank you.
Next we have Jody O'Rourke.
No, I think as long as this works, I'm good.
For our middle school update.
Good evening. Thank you for having me once again. I am pleased to be here tonight to report on the status of all things literacy at the state-of-the-art Walpole Middle School. After dividing my time between Johnson and Byrd for the past 2 years, it is such a rewarding experience for myself, the teachers, and the students to be in one building, cultivating a student-centered approach of learning while following our core values of community, compassion, responsibility, resilience, and excellence. Tonight, I would like to start by addressing some of the questions and comments that were made after Dr. Hahn presented the MCAS data to you on November 14th. I hope this information helps to frame the steps that we are taking to develop the literacy skills of our middle school students. As you can see on this slide, MCAS is in quotes because although we strive to provide students with the skills to be successful on this high-stakes assessment, our ultimate goal is to prepare them to be literate for life in the classroom and beyond as they embark on future college paths and careers. After reviewing the MCAS data in both ELA and social studies, we decided to focus on 4 areas. The first is to deepen literacy comprehension. Going beyond the surface questions of fiction or nonfiction tests like the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, and why, the teachers in both ELA and social studies are continuing to provide the skills and opportunities for students to actively annotate a text, participate in Socratic seminars, isolate pieces of evidence, and defend their opinions of a text. Making inferences and being open-minded to other ideas is also a critical piece of comprehension, since that involves the synthesis and analysis level of thinking. And lastly, tapping into the background knowledge and building schema about a topic will help to strengthen the comprehension skills of our students as well. Next, strengthening writing skills continues to be a big component in our standards-based curriculum at the middle school. Whether writing a journal entry, a short answer to a test, to a question on a test, a formulaic CER response, an essay, we provide students with the scaffolds necessary to be successful. We still marvel at the decreased stamina for some and the lack of transfer of skills from one content area to another, but we will continue to diligently work on this. I believe that the more intentional we are in thinking aloud and making these connections for the students, the better we will be in the long run. Enhancing cross-disciplinary literacy continues to be a passion of mine as the humanities coordinator. The more consistent we can be with common vocabulary, reading and writing strategies, academic discourse, and more, the bigger exposure the students will have to find success. Earlier this year, a grade 8 social studies and ELA teacher had a fruitful dialogue about the writing of a thesis statement, and the social studies teacher then mirrored the format and expectations in his class that were done in ELA. Most recently, during a grade 6 PLC meeting in social studies, the teachers were discussing various vocabulary words like trait and symbolism, and excited about the potential of creating a common inventory of words that could be shared between social studies and ELA teachers. This impact would yield if students were to see these words in more than one discipline, it would yield a bigger impact for their comprehension and usage. Lastly, in regards to MCAS data, we continue to work on building critical reading skills. In fact, the social studies teachers have been very proactive and curious about the IXL data of their students, and I invited the 2 reading teachers to attend an after-school meeting in October, where we shared the data and they shared some reading strategies to both departments. Students are routinely asked to complete close reading activities for passages and analyze quotes from pieces of literature as a means to deepen their reading skills. With the additions of literature circles and book clubs at the middle school, as opposed to a full class novel in all of our units, the students are able to read a book at their own Lexile level so they can build their reading skills and challenge themselves. I'm happy to share that Dr. Hahn has asked me to oversee the reading department as well. When he and I met last spring, he informed me that the informational reading and writing class that was historically being taught in grade 7 was going to be moved to grade 6. This would allow for all students entering the new middle school to have a strong foundation in reading and writing nonfiction text, as well as learning about the digital learning standards. Designed as a project-based class, the students take on the role of a blogger, a journalist, and more to complete lessons to become responsible digital consumers. Over time, we hope to see that this extra layer of literacy at the entrance grade into the middle school will strengthen their skills and perhaps fill some of the gaps. Over the summer, Jess Downey, a grade 6 ELA teacher, developed a solid approach for explicitly teaching vocabulary for their first unit of study, and it proved to be very successful for our students and well received by our teachers. In order to have some alignment between the grades, I decided to offer a PLC using the text from Keys to Literacy, the vocabulary routine, and 6 out of the 9 ELA teachers have decided to join me. This is part of their professional learning goal. In fact, we're meeting tomorrow at 7:10 if anyone is interested to attend. It has created a safe place for them to gain more pedagogical skills in the domain of vocabulary instruction, and it is nice to see them taking risks and trying new lessons in their classrooms. Having the vocabulary data from IXL, which I will speak to in a moment, has been another layer of assessment that we did not have before, and this is instrumental in planning lessons for our students. The other professional text that is highlighted here, Making Thinking Visible, is a wonderful resource that provides educators with strategies to increase student engagement and add a variety of how students demonstrate their understanding and working knowledge of a concept. I recently used this book in my role as a coach and shared ideas to 2 new teachers to use in their classrooms. It was well received by each, and the implementation of the chosen strategies were very successful when I observed the final observations in the classrooms. I am proud to be a member of the MTSS team at Walpole Middle School. For the past 2 summers, I have organized and facilitated a professional development session so we could strengthen our policies and procedures to ensure that all students get what they need in order to be successful. At the Tier 1 level, teachers use best practices like graphic organizers, sentence starters, and level text to guide at least 85% or more of their students to find success. When students appear to be struggling, even with these supports in place, interventions are then delivered at the Tier 2 level. We are very fortunate to have a full-time Title I tutor, Caitlin Anderson, who is able to deliver some of the needed Tier 2 interventions, as well as our 2 reading teachers. These interventions might take on the form of a push-in model or pull-out model, depending on the need, and these students work to achieve a specific goal during a 6 to 8 week period of time. In addition, a specific program we are using to aid our writing is called No Red Ink, and this was funded with Title I money. As Jill Masterson mentioned in her math presentation in December, we are using IXL as our benchmark diagnostic and personal learning platform. The diagnostic is administered 3 times a year with weekly maintenance in between to keep the skills and data current. Students are expected to complete lessons at home and in school, and teachers have begun to weave this tool into their lessons. This slide illustrates that students have completed over 1 million ELA practice skills in either the domain of reading, writing, vocabulary, or grammar and mechanics. In addition, the particular student on this slide is a grade 7 student, and she has made nice progress in exceeding the grade level and now is working at the grade 9 level. This shows that this is one way we can level up for our students and challenge those who are in need. Finally, in order to keep families informed about the Humanities Department, I have created a parent website that Principal Ruggiero links to her weekly news bulletin. An overview of the ELA, social studies, and reading curriculums are linked there, as well as other information including IXL expectations and the CER formative writing and more. I plan to build this site with more information as the year progresses. As always, thank you for your time and your continued support of the ELA curriculum and programming at Walpole Middle School.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments? Ms. Syrick.
I have a question about the informational reading and writing course.
Yeah.
Is that something that all students take, or is that an elective?
All grade 6 students take that course. It's a semester course.
Okay.
It's part of the wheel of specials, so to speak.
Okay.
So they're all getting it.
Awesome,
For
that's great.
semester, yeah.
Good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Cullen, come on down.
Well, good evening. It is my, whoops, there we go. Certainly listening to what Shannon and Jody have been talking about, their work at the lower grades makes our work easier. Not that it's easy, but easier, so I want to commend them on all the work that they've done. And thinking about what I wanted to present to you, I was thinking about how I've been teaching in Walpole for a few years, and how much it has changed. You know, when I started here a couple of years ago, we really did predominantly writing literary analysis. You know, we read a book and we wrote an essay. That's right, Bridget? That's pretty much all we did. And we do so much more now. And I still think that writing essays is our strength. I think our department does a really good job at it, and I think our students go off to college very well prepared and they know how to write. But I look at the other things that we do, and I just wanted to give you a little snapshot of some of the other things that our Walpole High English students are doing. I also want to give a big thank you to the younger teachers in the department who helped me put this together, because beyond my skill set. So this is some work that some of our freshman CP1 class did. They read the novel, The Long Way Down. They connected some of the various, they first identified recurring symbols and connected it to the themes in the novel, and they presented them to the class. Some of our freshman honors were reading Shakespeare. They were reading Taming of the Shrew. They traced motifs throughout the play and again presented it in a way that made it, they could share with their classmates what they found, various motifs.
20 years before Taming of the Shrew, enter Vincentio and Lucentio. Father, tell me again, why hast thou taken me here? Vincentio, my sweet son, I have taken you to see the city of Bergamo, because 'tis quite good for the young mind to go to different places.
So that was just a little snapshot of a freshman honors. They had to write an additional scene to Taming of the Shrew in the style of Shakespeare. And so this was one of Miss Linden's students who volunteered to. She read a little bit more, but I figured we'd just do a little bit of it. Some sophomore work that we've done. Great Gatsby continues to be a mainstay in our curriculum. And so students, some of the sophomore students analyzed the differences between the characters, and then they had to show how the differences related to the themes of the novel. So the first slide is sort of a work in progress. A student was gathering evidence, finding quotes, making comments, and starting to build out their view about Tom and Myrtle. And here's just a different student work, but in their piece of writing. And we start incorporating quotes down in the middle school, and so here's an example of students who are embedding their quotes and writing, some literary analysis. This is a sophomore honors class. They, in a challenge that the librarian Audrey Lamar sent out, they had to use concise, vivid imagery and descriptive language to create a chilling 2-sentence horror story. They then uploaded those, and they used AI to create AI-generated photos or pictures to go along with it. I won't read all of them to you, but we'll read one. How's that? The metal bars of the haunted box contain only emptiness inside, and I am immediately filled with a dreaded feeling as if I am being carefully watched by some invisible force. The evil being, no longer in the cage, but hidden by the dark of the night, swallows me whole and plunges me into the eternal darkness from which I will never return.
It's creepy.
They did a really nice job with these, so the challenge was 2 sentences, and so that's what they did. That one is particularly troubling.
Wow. The images are
Most of our juniors read Just Mercy. And in this class, they had to synthesize Just Mercy. They were practicing finding credible digital sources. So they had to go online and find credible digital sources to research various social justice topics and then present it in a multimedia format. So this is some of the work that some of the juniors did. And here's another project. I have shared in the past that a lot of our students, a lot of our teachers do digital portfolios where students keep their writing, and a main piece of the digital portfolio, a main piece of their writing is that reflective piece. And so this is just a snapshot from one of the AP language students' portfolio, and the piece on the side is the rhetorical analysis reflection, where again, they really look at their writing and they track their progress and they comment on what they did well, where they still need work. And I think that that is the most impactful kind of writing that they can do. This is another project from an AP language class. We don't have to listen to it because the sound is low. But they were doing, they compared and contrasted different American communities to determine what aspects a community needs to persist and how and why these aspects are essential. But presentations, group presentations before the class are really important for these students to get them prepared for college. So in every English class, you'll see students doing group projects and presentations like this. And then finally, I have an example from the journalism. The journalism class did a field trip to the Boston Public Library last month. They had about 30 kids go, and they had 3 groups. Each group had a different task. They had to research a different aspect of the library, the art within the library, the historical context, the architecture, and I think the resources. And then they put together brochures to summarize their research. I would also like to thank the teachers in my department. I'm very proud of our department. I think we do a really good job, and this is just a small bit of the work that they do. So, well, the students did it, but the teachers organized it.
Questions or comments? Ms. Rogers?
I love seeing the student work. Like, it makes you excited, it makes me excited for the students, and it, like, concrete examples of what they're doing.
Well, thank you. I debated bringing essays for us all to read, but
In grade.
yeah,
For the
but
future.
even English teachers don't like doing that, so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Gallivan?
I would just say to all 3 of you, it was a fantastic synopsis of just an awful lot of really good work, so.
Thank you.
You know, we appreciate seeing it. The visuals are great, and just bring back our thanks to all your people for all the work that's going on. It's important stuff.
Thank you.
Further on that? Very good. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Our next order of new business is an amendment to the Tech Collaborative Agreement. As you know, we're part of 2 education collaboratives made up of local and area public schools. I believe the largest amendment to this agreement is we're being joined in the Tech Collaborative by KP and Sharon. And it requires an amendment to, a vote by this board to amend the collaborative agreement. We've all got that beforehand. I know Mrs. Gallivan is our representative. Any
That's
other?
the story,
That's the
yeah.
story?
You know, this has been a year-long kind of a thing, and there's hoops that you have to jump through to meet DESE's requirements, and one of them is that we have to take this vote as the,
Yeah.
one of the collaborative members. And the board did a lot of analysis and invited people from Sharon and KP to come and meet with us and talk with us. And, you know, it's wonderful that Tech's reputation is such that people want to join. And, you know, we sort of analyzed it financially and just academically, so it's a good thing.
Very good. Remiss if not taking this opportunity to thank you for your time on that board, and also to note that over the years through your work and other Walpole folks, we've managed to get a large tech footprint physically in our community, which is great for Walpole students in particular. If you go to many of the tech programs, you're not going far from home. So, any other questions or comments on this? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the Tech Collaborative Agreement.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Ms. Denizio, second by Ms. Syrick. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? 6-0-0. Moving on to Superintendent Report.
Yes, well,
Dr.
happy
Goff.
New Year, everybody. Before the break, I had the pleasure of attending some wonderful concerts at both the high school and the middle school. It really was truly remarkable to see the growth of our music program, especially the middle school orchestra. It now boasts, I believe, 142 students in the orchestra. So it's really a testament to the talent and dedication of our music educators and students. I also want to extend my gratitude to our generous families, students, and staff for their contributions of meals, clothing, and gifts to support our families within the Walpole Public School community prior to the holiday break. Additionally, we are deeply appreciative of the support from organizations such as the Junior Women's Club, the Langley Foundation, Lions Club, and the Walpole Police Department, whose donations have really made a meaningful and lasting impact. These acts of kindness exemplify really the strength and compassion of our community, and I thank them. As you know, the budget process for the 25-26 school year continues. Mike Frisch and I have met with all the principals as well as central office admin, focusing on areas such as technology, curriculum instruction, special education. And a budget meeting, if you remember, is scheduled for the 21st to delve into discussions around the FY26 budget, but in the coming weeks, we will continue to have these conversations in various workshops, culminating in a budget vote during an upcoming school committee meeting. Extended Day Program is offering their February vacation camp to extended day students for the upcoming school break. So I'll have that information in my SMORE and in Mary's school committee report. Just another shout out to kindergarten registration reminder. If you can get them in, then we can start looking at enrollment. It's really important, and we'll have that information out as well. We have a curriculum meeting scheduled for next Thursday, and the Tri-County Superintendent Network will hold the legislative breakfast on February 28th. We typically have it in March, but as a superintendent group, we felt that March was too late. The location is still TBD. So I'll keep you informed.
Questions or comments of the superintendent? Seeing none, moving on to old business. We have the 2025-2026 school committee meeting calendar. There is a second reading. The draft is enclosed. I would entertain a motion to approve if there's no discussion. Mrs. Gallivan.
I just noticed that there's only one meeting scheduled for March, which is usually a busy time. So we may want to just sort of hold and approve it as is, but keep that in mind, that chances are we're going to need another meeting, but we can see. Is that me?
Excellent. I'm still awake here. Motion to, Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bean, second by Ms. Rogers. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 6-0-0. Moving on, we have middle school building project. Mr. Green.
Nothing to report. On budget, on time. I'll say it again, I guess. Some landscaping in the spring, punch list items.
Yep, still working on punch list.
Excellent. Moving on to the high school project update. Let's take that.
Sure. So we know that, as Grace mentioned, the parking lot got its first layer of asphalt before the students and staff returned. That was like that's phase 1A, and the top coat will be done in the spring and the summer. And the construction fence has been put up, as you know, to enclose what's known as phase 1B area, and that will mainly consist of that new field house. So, and they're also working on underground utilities. And there'll be a permanent building committee meeting next week, next Tuesday, followed by the school building committee meeting for middle school, to keep them all straight.
Very good. Questions or comments on the high school, Mrs. Gallivan?
Can you just explain to us about the parking? Like, is there enough parking right now for the kids?
Yeah,
and the
I believe
staff?
Stephen and Bush moved everybody where they needed to, so they were able to. I find like when I come in, we all have to park, the cars are parked along the side and the front of the school, and they're allowing that as well.
So are we using that, like, part that's back near Turco Field as parking yet, or not yet?
I'm not
You
sure.
don't know?
Not
I was
sure.
just curious.
But I
The
can
old,
see the
like
old
behind
one.
the shack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's where that's how they've created space to
They've
close
created
the door.
space
Yes.
for the people who've paid, the students who've paid for parking.
Part of the reason I was asking is because of scheduling the legislative breakfast.
Yeah.
And
It-
part of me says maybe we should do it at the middle school.
Yes.
I'm thinking that,
instead.
It is tighter. We're moving some of our
We're
meetings
moving
as
our
well for
LC
that
meetings
reason.
to
Okay, so
the middle school next week.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Further questions or comments with the superintendent on the high school project? Seeing none, moving on to subcommittee activity. Mrs. Gallivan.
Just that I'm in the process, I think you might have seen an email about trying to schedule a Walpole legislative breakfast. I suggested 4 dates, the Thursday and Friday of the first week and the Thursday and Friday of the second week of February. And we'll see what the legislators have to say. But I'm leaning towards Friday of the first week, if that works. I, was asking if people had any preference, and I didn't get any feedback, so I just went with, an sort of open-ended, but stay tuned.
Excellent. No other subcommittee activity? Citizens' comments? Seeing no citizens. Moving on to the approval of warrants, budget transfers, donations, and minutes. Ms. Rogers.
I would like to make a motion to approve the following payroll warrants, number 2523 PS and 2525 PS, for the amounts listed in your packet.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Rogers, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 6-0-0.
I'd like to make another motion to approve the following accounts payable warrants under 225024, 225025, 225026, and 225027 for the amounts listed in your packets.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Rogers, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 600. Would someone like to take the gifts this evening?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following gifts to Old Post Road from Bay State Textiles and Pack for $709.50, to Elm Street School from Bay State Textiles and Shutterfly for $1,294.67, and to Fisher Elementary from Bay State Textiles for $45.30.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sarek, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 600. Would someone like to take the minutes? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December 12th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Rogers, second by Mrs. Gallivan. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 600.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Sarek. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 600. Have a very good evening and stay warm out there.